Hi, I'm Ryan Marr, the director of PJCE Records, and I'm here with brilliant piano player and composer Kerry Politzer to celebrate the release of her upcoming album that comes out this coming Friday, October 21st. Hi, Kerry. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're here in our executive director, Meg Morrow's backyard, and it's a lovely fall evening, and excited to kind of dig into what is really exciting about this new album. It's got 10 brand new tracks, and I want to learn all about it. Kerry, can you tell us a little bit about how this album came to be? What made you want to release an album on PJCE Records?
Well, first of all, PJ Records is awesome and it releases some of my favorite music. I should mention also that PJCE Records is releasing an album by George Colligan, my husband, King's Dream, the following month. And George also plays drums really well, and he played on my album. He really contributed a lot of textures and a lot of interactivity. So I always enjoy playing with him, and I would hire him even if he wasn't my husband.
I hire him, and he's not my husband either. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So George is on the record. Yeah, let's talk about the band. Who is in this band that's on your album called In a Heartbeat?
Well, we have Joe Manis playing saxophone and flute. There's this one Brazilian-influenced tune called Marble Maze. It's a choro, and Joe plays really great flute on that tune. I just kind of wanted to have some variety and mix things up. So one of the things that I think about when I'm making an album is having variety, like a lot of variety of different textures, of different beats, and I feel like that adds a lot of interest, and I really made an effort to do that on this album. So there's like kind of a funky tune in 7, there's this choro, there's, you know, some waltzes, some fast ones, some slow ones, just like some kind of just swingers, 4/4 swingers. So there's a lot of different moods and melodies that I wanted to express.
Yeah, it's not 10 F blues and with a medium swing feel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that 2 of the pieces on this record sort of started with the PJCE, so maybe we could talk about those a little bit.
Yeah, so I just have always been so grateful to the PJCE and so excited to be a part of original music in Portland, where, you know, not everyone supports original efforts, but you know, I always hear so many new things happening. And so several years ago, I was asked to write a large ensemble piece, and I actually dreamed it. I mean, that happens sometimes. It happened with a few of the songs on the record, and I dreamed a heartbeat figure like soon after having my second son. I just had this really kind of poignant heartbeat rhythmic figure in my dream. And then I woke up and basically half the thing was written.
Wow.
So then I was asked to arrange it, and that was a really lovely experience to arrange for a large ensemble. And Tom Barber, who was in the ensemble, got to have the trumpet solo. You also had a solo, so you and Tom were the soloists. So Tom also plays a stripped-down version of In a Heartbeat, the title track on this record.
Yeah. Yeah, so we had Thomas Barber on trumpet and Joe Manis on saxophones and flute. And we mentioned George on drums. Who's on bass?
We have Garrett Baxter, who's kind of become the man about town, you know, the bass player to call. Really wonderful young bass player. I played with him in the 1905 orchestra and other groupings. So he really did a great job with the music.
Yeah, great. And yeah, so In a Heartbeat, that kind of came out of the PJCE's, at the time, I think we called it the Grasshoppers program, but now it's called the Young Jazz Composers program. And you... that's where that one came from. There's another one that came from the PJCE. Well, tell us about that one.
Another one?
The
umbrella statement.
Yeah.
Okay, so the PJCE had kind of not exactly a cutting contest or a cook-off or something, where I had to compete with another jazz musician who also teaches at PSU, and I believe that I lost the competition, but that's okay because we got a song out of it. We basically had to write something with some elements of Billy Strayhorn's Rain Check, and I love Billy Strayhorn. I could just, you know, talk about him or think about him or listen to him all day. So that was a super fun experience. So if you listen to the track which is probably the fastest song on the record, you might hear a rhythmic figure that would remind you of Rain Check.
Yeah, there's some similarities there for sure. I remember because I got to play that piece too for the Portland Jazz Composers Ensemble's Composers Cook-Off.
That's right.
Our take on a competitive cooking show. Yeah, I got to play in the trio for that, and I could definitely, it smacked of that tune, you know, like there was definitely the essence of Strayhorn's Rain Check in that tune, but it was its own thing too, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I like kind of having assignments sometimes, whether I give them to myself or whether somebody else gives them to me.
Yeah, great. To that end, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the inspiration for writing some of these tunes. You know, we're coming out of the pandemic, and I'm sure that a lot of the 10 compositions were started during, finished during the lockdown when we were all stuck at home. So maybe you could tell us about the inspiration for some of the pieces besides the PJCE ones.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, one thing I should say is that the CD is devoted to the memory of my aunt who I lost in October 2020, and I really I miss her a lot, and so the song Goodbye was for her, and it's the last song on the album. I just really wanted to express my feelings and just my gratitude for having had this really incredibly supportive relative who was, you know, had a great relationship with her for such a long time. So I just felt like I needed to make a statement about that. And then another song on the album is kind of, you know, a lot of people during the pandemic had very intense dreams and nightmares. And I started developing this habit of waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and not being able to go back to sleep. So one night I actually dreamed this very nightmarish rhythmic figure and melody, and it's something that I normally wouldn't write a lot, write if I were conscious. So it just ended up being this song called 3 a.m. and now it just kind of, it really embodies the feeling of insomnia. Wow.
3 a.m. and Goodbye. We got In a Heartbeat and Umbrella Statement. Marble Maze, you mentioned, was influenced by Shoru. How about the opening track? Maybe you could tell us about some of the inspiration for the opening track.
Shaky Ground. Yeah. I guess it's kind of another allusion to the pandemic and the uncertain times that we have been living in. So Shaky Ground kind of, it feels kind of off kilter with the melody, and then the harmony is really kind of modulating a lot, so you kind of don't know where you are. So it has that kind of a feeling.
That's awesome. Do you have any future plans compositionally, or like what are some future projects that you're cooking up?
Well, I'm kind of doing a deep dive into arranging right now.
Great.
So I'm always trying to learn more and study more, and I'm hoping that all of this intense study will end up being productive in the near future.
Sure. Great. Well, we hope to see you at the 1905 on October 21st. That's the celebration of the CD release. 5:30 p.m. start time, and the whole band is going to be there, right? So George Colligan on drums, Garrett Baxter on bass, Kerry Politzer on piano, Joe Manis saxophone, and Thomas Barber on trumpet. 5:30 p.m. start, 1905, and that's the day the album comes out. And as you mentioned, George Colligan has a solo piano release coming out later in the fall, in November. And we have a lot of other really exciting things planned after the new year for the record label. So we hope that you stay tuned and keep in touch, and we always appreciate you listening. Thanks, Kerry.
Thank you.